MarketFaith.Online. Super delighted to have you join me today. My name is DEJI. It's always a joy, a honor, a privilege to be able to share with you, come to your home, come to your space, and really just share about business, talk about business, and some of the things that we can do to improve ourselves and to improve our businesses and things like that. So I'm always delighted to have this conversation. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking our time. Thank you for sharing. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who shares this with friends, who shares this, who comments on this. Thank you so much. You are absolutely amazing. You're the real MVP. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. All right. Now today I'm starting somewhat of a new series. Well, not a lot, but I just want to talk about a few things that I think are critical in terms of the way we think as business owners, right? And I think that because if we don't get our thinking right, then we're not going to get our experiences right, because our thinking will affect our behavior will affect what we eventually experience in life and in business. All right, so and I'm talking about mental models or mental modes or mental ways of thinking, mental places that people have gotten to, especially as entrepreneurs, that they've gotten to that is not really very helpful for them, that is not really helpful for their business, right? And one of the biggest things I found today that I want to talk about is the fact that many people think that they are small businesses. Listen to me, nothing could be further from the truth. We've bought a lie that we are small businesses, and I'm hoping that over the next couple of minutes I can share a few thoughts in that regard that helps you see things differently and helps you think differently about your business. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is this, right? Many of us are thinking too small as entrepreneurs. We're thinking too small as business owners. In fact, the average entrepreneur just thinks, you know what, please, I don't want any trouble. I just want to do something small for me, myself, people around me, and we'll be all right. The challenge is this: what many people don't realize is that that mental mode alone is even stopping them from achieving the goal that they set when they started that business. In other words, taking care of themselves, their family, etc. With that mindset, even doing that is going to be practically impossible. And I'm going to show you today and share with you some things why that is the case, right? Because you see, the situation that we are in is a situation where for many entrepreneurs, they feel like because they have been labeled as small business owners, then they should behave as small business owners, right? They talk about them being victimized. They talked about the fact that they're in the masses and all those types of things. And listen to me, there is nothing else that could be further from the truth. You are not a small business owner, right? You are not a small business. You are bigger than where you are, right? So it's very important. Okay, you know, many people, business owners, have bought the lie that has been told to them that they are small, and so they should be small in their thinking. They are restricted in their abilities. They are restricted in their potential, and that should not be the case. Listen, nobody sees a human being. If you give birth to a child today, you can't call that child small forever. Even though the child may start out small, the child must grow and the child must develop. But the problem is this: many of us have thought, right, that it is that we are small, and so because of that we think small. We don't think about getting out of our cocoon. We don't think about doing much things. I heard a pastor say something one time. He said one day he went to a bookshop, or he saw a place where they were selling books, and it was a pastor of a church, and he saw a book that says how to pastor a small church, and he said, lie, never, I'm never going to buy that kind of book. Why? Because in his mind, even though his church probably didn't have more than 30-40 people, which was small by every definition or by every standard, the reality is this: he saw himself not as a small church, not as a small pastor, right? Because many of us have that issue where we think about ourselves. So you think about your baking business, and you just think about doing something in the parlor, in your living room, and never getting out of your living room and working from home all the rest of your life. You never think about opening a factory. You never think about doing anything, right? You are like, listen, it's so hard. Is this, is that? Listen, everything is hard. There is no business that is not hard. Everybody chooses their hard. That's what it is. Small business is hard. Big business is hard. Choose your hard. I would rather do a big business, right, with that heart than a heart that is small. Everything in this life is hard. You need to pick the heart that you want. I see people who are website designers, who are graphic designers, who are laundry people, right? And they're just doing something small. They're just they don't want to get out of what they're doing, etc. Don't be like that. Reach out beyond yourself. Do more things. Expand your borders. Take on new territories. Do new things. Do great things. Do amazing things. Okay? So, why is it dangerous to think small? Number one, life is growing, and your definition of small today will be very tiny tomorrow. Life is growing. Whatever you consider small today will be extremely tiny tomorrow. Why am I saying this to you? If you say that, look, I don't want to have a big business, I just want to have something small that takes care of me and my family. The challenge is this: it may take care of you and your family today, but the way life is growing, if you are not growing bigger than you are right now, it will overtake what you are trying to do. And what that would mean is that even taking care of that family is going to become challenging. Haven't you seen parents, business owners, some of our parents who started business? When they started business, those businesses could take care of their kids. Their revenues haven't gone down. They've just maintained the same revenue. But the problem is that the world has now moved on faster, such that that revenue cannot make any significant dent in the world that they live in anymore. Why am I saying this to you? It is dangerous to think like a small business owner, especially over the long term. The reason is because life is moving. Things are not stopping. Things are not static. Inflation rate is eating your money. So whatever, if you think that you are doing well as a 100 million naira business today, as a $100,000 business today, the reality is that 10 years from now, that $100,000 will probably not be worth as much as that. And then you need to find a way to ensure that you are making more money. So what am I saying to you? When you try and you seek to be bigger than you are, right? Even if you don't get there, you get to a level where you can sustain yourself, sustain your family, and meet the immediate goals and objectives of your business. Life and everything around us is moving very fast, moving very quickly. And you must be able to keep up. So you cannot keep up thinking small. It's not going to happen. All right? So, the way life is almost like as if it tries to shrink us at every point in time. And it's not like life is trying to be deliberately hurtful. But the reality is that life goes on. And because life goes on, everything else must go on. And if whatever it is that you're doing is stuck in the past and cannot move forward, then it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really, really challenging. The second reason why it is dangerous to think small is that even the impact that you're looking to make as a small business person, you cannot make that impact. The number of people you can help with a small business is very small. Extremely small. In fact, I have clients who are running fairly big businesses, and they have people who come to meet them asking for money and all those types of things. The reality is that if they were running a small business, they wouldn't be able to help their family and friends. Nope, they wouldn't be able to do it. So you actually need to run a big business so that you can help other people. Because if you think about it, right? Many of us started small businesses that other people also started. But they've gone on to grow those businesses, put structures in place, and scale the business, right? But in our own context, I mean, just think about it, right? Many of you know what you call AGBOADE. AGBOADE is something that people do, a community, a group of friends do, where everybody contributes, right? And at the end of a period, right, they give that money to someone, or they loan that money to someone, depending on the nature of the AGBOADE, or what you might call an investment club, right? Do you know that a bank is typically an AGBOADE collection system? What is the difference between a bank and an AGBOADE? What is the difference between a bank and a small investment club? There is scale. There is not thinking small. And that's what I'm trying to encourage you to do today. Listen, stop thinking within the four walls of your house alone for that business. That bakery can get out of that place and move into somewhere bigger, can scale, can expand, can do amazing things. So, listen, I hope that with these two reasons, you can see that, listen, it is dangerous to think small. So, how do you break out of a small mindset? How do you break out of thinking small, right, to ensure that you can achieve much more? Number one, set goals that drive you to reach beyond yourself. Set goals that drive you to reach beyond yourself. In other words, don't just set goals that, okay, this year I made 20 million, next year I want to make 22 million or 25 million. Go for higher, right? Find collaborations, find partnerships, do whatever, right? You know, one of the things I realize about the mind is so powerful that whatever bar you set for the mind determines how far the mind can stretch. If this is this bar that you set for your mind, the mind only stretches this high. But if your bar goes up higher, the mind stretches higher to reach where the bar is. What am I saying this to you, right? What am I saying to you? The more you can increase the scope of what you are trying to achieve, the more your mind can do what it takes to grow into that mold to ensure that you achieve the scope of what exactly you're trying to do. That's the power and the beauty of the mind. So I encourage you to set goals that go beyond you and reach far beyond what you're trying to do. The second thing is this: seek out relationships that challenge you. Don't always stay in the midst of people who are always saying you are doing well, you don't need to hustle, you don't need to strive, etc. Get out of that place, get out of that comfort zone, and move into an environment, move into a space where your testimony, right, where your what you think is big for you is really a small thing for other people. It helps you put things in context. You know, I was talking to a rich friend, right, who lives, you know, in the UK. He Nigerian, moved to the UK and all of that. And, you know, he was talking about how, I mean, here I was thinking that, you know, this guy has arrived. There are levels in these things, you know. This guy has arrived. This guy has gotten to a place where if I get there, I will be super happy, comfortable, etc. But this guy started telling me about people that have gotten to certain levels that are way beyond him, right? We started talking about horses. We started talking about the kinds of horses that have royal bloodline. I mean, I'm like, these are race horses. I'm like, oh my God. When do we get there? Right? But the point is this: I love hanging out with him because he stretches my mind. I absolutely love it. It challenges me and it exhilarates me. Right? I love it. I love the fact that, you know, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, my goodness, if I think I've done anything, I've done absolutely nothing. There's still so much more to be done. One of my friends has a dream that he wants to send 3,000 girls to school across Africa. What an amazing thing to do. Right? He's setting goals beyond himself. So he's working like as much as he can because there is a bigger goal behind it for him. He's not thinking like a small business. He is not. He is not at all. All right? So seek out relationships that challenge you. Number 3, find solutions to your challenges. Listen, one of the biggest things you can do for yourself is to be somebody that finds solutions to problems. Never be the kind of person that problems overwhelm you. Make sure that at the end of the day, you overcome the problem. Never be that type of person who is overwhelmed, who is overcome by the problems that they are going through. Always be the person that overcomes the problem. You have a funding problem, go look for the money. You have a challenge with something in your business, go and solve it. Because every time you solve it, you feel better about yourself. You feel good about yourself. You feel much better about who you are, about what it is that you've done. But this mindset of thinking small, of just doing something small, in just me, my husband, my children, in my living room, you've got to get out of it. You know, my wife, started a business sometime, and I said to her, I said, babe, listen, this business, we have to make it big. We can't be running small businesses again. We've got to do something much bigger than what we have always been doing about this kind of business. Why? Because you just have to make things work. You need to solve problems. You need to get things done. Find solutions, right? And then the fourth thing I will say to you is think global. I want to ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. If you knew that the business that you are running today, you need to set it up in 5 other African countries, how would you think about that business? What would you do differently? Let's assume that you need to take that business to the UK. You need to set up that business in Canada. What exactly will you do today that will be different from the way you are thinking in your business today? Let's assume that that cake business, that baking business, let's assume that in the next 2 years, you want to open 3 outlets, one in Ghana, one in Zambia, one in Kenya. What exactly are you going to do? How will you think about this thing differently? That's the way I want you to start thinking now. Listen, many of us have been fed a lie that because we are called small businesses, we should remain small. I mean, nobody gives birth to a child and says that this child will remain small forever. The child is expected to grow into adulthood. The same thing with your business. You're not supposed to remain small forever. Refuse it. Refuse it. In fact, please type it in the chat box. Say, I refuse to be denied. I refuse to be small. I refuse to be little. Do that right now. Because you need to stop thinking the way you are thinking, and you need to get bigger. You need to get better. I hope that helped you today. Thank you so much for joining me today on MarketFaith. God bless you. I really hope it's been helpful, right? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up, right? Subscribe to the channel. Hey, I'll see you next time.